Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here today to talk a few minutes about coffee, storage, and a few other tips you might want to consider. Even if you don't drink coffee, it might be a good idea to put at least a little bit up just in case, because you never know when it might come in handy. Maybe there's going to be some late nights where you got to stay up. Maybe it's going to be something you can use for barter. Or if you're like me, you just enjoy it. So let me start off with talking about how I personally store my coffee, because I don't do anything special. Now, when I first started stocking up on coffee, I was getting it from Costco, the organic kind, which unfortunately was in plastic bags. Now, I haven't ever had any issue with it storing it as is. However, it may be best suited for people, especially if you're buying your coffee like that, to store in vacuum sealed jars to help preserve the freshness of that. Now, as I said, that was some of the first coffee I started buying. Then I started buying the organic coffee from Costco. Now, keep in mind, I only store coffee beans. I don't store ground coffee. I'll talk about that in a minute. And getting their whole organic bean coffee and storing that. Those are in bags more like you'll see here, where there's no light exposure. Now that's really important. So you got to keep in mind, if you do end up taking it out of your plastic bags or even out of bags like this and putting it into glass jars so you can vacuum seal it, you're still going to want to make sure you're storing your coffee in a dark place to keep it from light exposure, because just like with anything when it comes to food storage, the two things that are going to damage your food, the quality over time, is going to be light exposure and heat exposure. So keeping your coffee beans, just like the rest of your food, in the coolest area you have is going to be important. Those are the two most important aspects of holding on to that quality. So because now all the coffee I get are in totally opaque bags, I don't worry about that at all. I mean, I didn't worry about it before because I keep all of my food storage in a dark room. However, you still got to turn on lights when you walk in there. But I have probably about 2 to 3 years worth of coffee bean storage. As such, I still have the older coffee that I've had in storage that I've been working through. And again, I have had no issue even 2-3 years down the road when I pull out the next old bag of coffee, have not had any issues with it being rancid or any other such, because the room that I store it in always stays on the cooler side, even in the hottest part of summer, without added air conditioning. Now, if you live in a very hot climate, if you don't have cold storage, you may have to look at getting some kind of air conditioning to keep your food and coffee storage area on a cooler side, because that's going to prolong the quality and prevent rancidity over time. But again, vacuum sealing anything that has fats and oils in it is also going to prevent rancidity. So that alone can prevent rancidity, and whereas the light exposure is going to affect the quality and flavor over time. Now, from what I understand, talking to Shepherd's Crook, which is my personal favorite brand of coffee these days, they say it's really just a myth to freeze your coffee beans. You can actually lose quality through freezing. So in my personal opinion, storing it in a cool, dark, and dry place and keeping it in sealed bags or jars, that's going to be your best bet. So let's get back to, why storing whole beans as opposed to the grind. Well, just like with grains, once you grind it up, you're going to be losing your quality a lot faster once it has been ground. So if you have ground coffee, work through that first. And what I used to do was, up until more recently, I'd grind up enough coffee at a time in my blender, because I was doing a bigger batch at a time, to fill up a quart jar. And it would take me about a week to a week and a half to work through that quart jar of ground coffee. I don't even do that anymore. I only grind the coffee now as I make it. So I have various means of grinding my coffee. So this is something that you're going to have to keep in mind, that when you're storing whole coffee beans, you're going to need to have a way to grind it. And if you have a blender, though, you can use your blender just like I did. A blender works great. When you're doing smaller batches at a time, getting a small coffee grinder like I have here is a good option. You can also get hand crank ones. This is a vintage one here that was given to me by my father. It was the first coffee grinder I had, and I used it for many years. And I also have a bigger one that's got a bigger hopper, so I can grind more at a time, that I picked up at a garage sale for $5. You can see an image of it right here. And it is currently attached to where Patrick actually attached it to my table, where also my grain mill is attached. For a while, I was grinding by hand the coffee and the grains at the same time, taking care of two birds with one stone in that case. But it is definitely nice having an electric one as well. It does make the job go faster, but I do also recommend having a way to hand grind your coffee beans in the event of a power outage, or if you're going off grid altogether and you don't plan on having solar power, or you're concerned about solar, water, or wind power, not getting enough of it, always having something to do things by manually is going to be important. So now let me talk a little bit about green coffee beans. So if you're wanting really long-term storage, getting a whole bean in its green form, so one that has not been roasted, is going to have an even longer shelf life. And so some people like to go with the whole green coffee beans. And I have several bags from Anthony's. So this is for long-term storage. I just keep it in the sealed bags that they're already in. They're dark. I'm not concerned about this. I have tried roasting some on my own. It's actually very easy to do. You just got to be careful. It's kind of like popping popcorn the old-fashioned way, where you swirl it around on your heat source and just watch it, and just roast it to the point where you like it, whether it be a light roast, a medium roast, and a dark roast. Now here's something funny. Since switching to Shepherd's Crook and wanting to try all of their different varieties of coffee, I always thought I preferred a dark roast. Come to find out, I prefer the medium roast over the dark. I like a strong coffee, but I like it in a medium roast. So there is a difference between dark roast and strong coffee. So medium roast is my personal favorite. But yes, how I'm storing all of these coffees, whether it be the Kirkland brand, the Anthony's, or the Shepherd's Crook, is just on a special shelf set aside just for my coffee, besides what I keep in here, and in the bags that they came in. Now, when I go to work through a bag, like I got a couple open ones here because they're ones that I'm either working through or a new one that I've tried from Shepherd's Crook. Then these stay in here because I actually like to grind my coffee in here in the morning because it's kind of noisy, and I'm usually the first one up. So this is the farthest room from the bedroom. It's on the opposite side of the house, so I can come in here and grind coffee and not have to worry about waking Patrick up. So in that case, I do have a drawer, especially for my open bags of coffee that I'm working through. Now, what I'll do is, if you're interested in trying the Anthony's green coffee beans, I'll go ahead and link to this down below. Anthony's is typically, though they have their own storefront, you can usually get better deals buying the same brand. It's a U.S. company, and getting it on Amazon. So I was getting this on Amazon, so I'll link to this down below. And then I also will have the link to Shepherd's Crook if you'd like to give them a try. The nice thing about Shepherd's Crook is you don't have to get the big black bag. You don't even have to get the 12 ounce. You can just start off with 8 ounce bags and try a few different ones. But I do have my definite favorites, and everybody's going to be different as to what they like best. So that's why I say, if you've never tried them, start with some smaller bags. You can go with the 8 ounce bags and just get several different ones that they have. So now, while I don't specifically have an affiliate link, I'll still be linking to Shepherd's Crook Coffee down below. Affiliate link just means that if you go through that link, usually you get a discount and I earn a commission. Well, that doesn't really work that way. However, I still have a coupon code that you'll find in the description box right next to the link I'll be providing that you can get 25% off your first order. So that's pretty cool. Now, Shepherd's Crook has been really good to me, even though I don't get that affiliate commission. They still have been good about sending me some coffee so I can keep trying new flavors, or sending me a coffee mug, or even a t-shirt. So they're still taking good care of me. Now, one of the reasons I really like Shepherd's Crook is not only are they a small family-owned US-based business, but all of their coffee, even if it's not USDA labeled organic, it is all organically grown. And it is low acid, very good coffee. I highly, highly recommend it. I had been trying the Azure Standard, which is also very good. Azure Standard has a couple of different coffees that they provide, also organic, but I like this even better. So this is my new, this is what I'm now stocking my pantry with, is the Shepherd's Crook, but I still got to work through my older coffees too. It's kind of hard because I'm so hooked on their coffee that it's kind of hard to go back to the other. But I try to switch it up a little bit, like use up some of the older coffee and then splurge and treat myself to a Shepherd's Crook coffee. Oh, and then the last thing I wanted to say now, technically it's recommended that you work through your coffee in 4 to 6 weeks for best flavor. But again, I have had no issue having my coffee stored for years and not having it go rancid and not have it lose its quality. It's still been great coffee. Well, I've only been using the Shepherd's Crook for several months, but definitely far more than 2 to 4 weeks, and haven't had any issue with that. But with any of the other coffees I've had in storage, no issues with losing quality or having rancidity. But I am also in a cooler climate, so it's, the heat exposure isn't so much of a concern for me. And it might be for you. So just kind of consider what's going to work best for you as far as that goes. And I just wanted to share with you this because it's sort of an update to my other coffee videos I've done, because I do some things a little bit different, but as far as storage, I'm still doing the same thing I've been doing for years now. Now, if you have any thoughts, ideas, suggestions you'd like to share, please put those in comments down below. And thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.